In this video, I am going to show you how to figure out overtime pay and how to figure out your total pay using an Excel spreadsheet, using the formulas built within Excel. It's really cool. The formulas are not very complicated. They're pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and jump into this problem. You can pretend maybe you own a small business and you have 3 employees. Or maybe you're one of the employees at a company and you want to make sure that your paycheck has been calculated correctly. So if you notice here, employee 1 worked, it says hours worked. He worked 43 hours, he or she worked 43 hours. And if you work over 40 hours in a week's period of time, you will get paid overtime. So you should see that employee 1 worked a total of 43 hours. So his regular hours are 40 and his overtime hours would be 3 hours because he worked 3 hours over 40 hours. But we have not put in the overtime hours yet. That's over here. We will do that. We've just put in the regular hours. Let's go to employee 2. Again, he worked over 40 hours. He worked 51 hours. I should say he or she. And therefore, this person's regular hours is 40 hours as well. How many overtime hours did employee 2 work? Well, we haven't entered it yet. We will later, but employee 2 worked 11 hours overtime. Think about it. 51 is 11 hours over 40, or you could just subtract 51 minus 40. And employee 3 worked overtime as well. 40 regular hours here and 7 hours of overtime. So let's go ahead and fill in the rest of this spreadsheet. I'm going to go over here to column E, and we're going to figure out the regular pay, regular gross pay for each employee. And don't let that word gross pay scare you off. It just means the taxes haven't been taken out yet. So how would I figure out the regular gross pay for employee 1? Well, I would click on this cell here, make sure this is highlighted or selected, and you would take the regular hours of 40 times the regular hourly rate of 10. So you'd multiply 40 times 10. Well, 40 times 10 is $400. So a lot of students just do that in their head or on the calculator and put $400 in. That's not the most efficient way to do it because you might have a lot of employees at this business. So let me show you how to use a basic formula to get to the $400. I am going to erase this or clear it out. And watch what I do here. What I'm going to do to use a formula, and this is always your first step when using a formula, is you want to make sure this cell is located. That's the cell we're working in. And type in an equal sign. So I'm going to type in an equal sign. And it showed up right here. Now, what I'm going to do is click on this cell here because I'm going to multiply this 40 with this 10. So I'm going to click on the cell where the 40 is located. So watch how this works. I'm going to click on it. Boom, I clicked on it. And instead of 40 showing up, the cell location showed up where the 40 is. And you should clearly see that the 40 is located in cell C2. That's why a C2 showed up. Now I'm going to multiply this 40 with the 10. So to do that, I'll punch in or press my asterisk key like this. I pressed my asterisk key, that's multiplication. And now I'm not going to type in a 10, I'm going to click the cell where the 10 is located. Watch what happens. I'll click that on. And the cell location showed up of D2. So I'm multiplying C2 times D2. These are the cell locations where the numbers are located. I'll hit enter. And that's a more efficient way to do it. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for employee 2. So step number 1, click on your equal sign or press your equal sign on your computer keyboard. Once you've done that, then click on this cell where the 40 is located. Type in your asterisk and then click on this cell. And the cell locations show up and hit enter. And then we'll do the same thing for employee 3. Click equals. Remember, that's the first step. Click on that equals, then click on the 40, and the C4 shows up. And again, that's the location of where this 40 is. It's at C4 right here. click on your asterisk button and click on this cell, $14, where the $14.75 is, and hit enter. And there you go. That's how you can use a basic formula to find the regular gross pay, and we're going to continue to do that to fill in the rest of the spreadsheet. Now, there's even a quicker way to do this. Let me just show you this as well. I'm going to clear these all out. And I'm going to go ahead and type in I'm going to calculate employee 1's regular gross pay. So let's type in the equals again. Click on this cell, asterisk, and then click on this cell and hit enter. Now, once I have this first employees, I can even more quickly figure out the gross pay for employee 2 and employee 3 without typing in anything. Watch how I do this. This is even a more efficient way. I'm going to click on this cell where the 400 is, $400, and watch what happens. I'm going to make sure this cell is highlighted. I'm going to go to the bottom right-hand corner of the cell. Now, you should notice that my cursor is a white cross. Hopefully you can see that. If I go to the right-hand corner of the cell that I selected, the bottom right-hand corner, and I hover over that, it turns into a black cross. Once it turns into a black cross, and again, you're hovering over the bottom, I might have said earlier bottom left-hand corner, I meant bottom right-hand corner of the cell. Once it does that, click and hold and then drag down. So I'm holding down and I'm dragging, and it will automatically fill in the rest of the cells very quickly. Now we're going to have more practice with this throughout the video. So there we go. That's the first part. Now we can move a little more quickly. Let's figure out the overtime hours, which we kind of already did at the beginning of the video. How many overtime hours did employee 1 work? He worked 43 hours. So his regular hours are 40. His overtime hours have to be 3. And another way to look at it is the regular hours plus the overtime hours, the 40 plus 3 gives us the total hours worked of 43. Now, a lot of students type in 3, right? But again, I want you to use a formula here, even though we can do these 3 cells in our head, because this would be 11 here and this would be 7. But let's use a formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in an equal sign again right here. And what I want to do to figure out the overtime hours is take the hours worked minus the regular hours. So watch how I do this. The hours worked is 43. I'm going to click on this. And then I'm going to type in a minus sign now. And then I'm going to click on this cell right here. So what I'm doing is going 43 minus 40 to get the overtime hours, and I'll hit enter and it should give me the same number, 3. Now we can do the same thing here, but let's use the drag and drop feature to quickly fill these in. So I'm going to highlight this cell here. I'll go to the bottom right hand corner, turns into a black cross, and I'm going to click and drag down, and it quickly fills in the rest of the cells. So as you can see, it all checked out. Employee 2 worked 11 overtime hours, and employee 3 worked 7 overtime hours. Now let's go to the time and a half overtime rate. What this means is you get time and a half for working overtime. That's what, and time and a half means 1.5. So here's how we do this. We're going to take our regular hourly rate and multiply it by time and a half. And again, time and a half is 1.5. That will give us our overtime rate because our overtime rate is higher than our regular rate. So watch how I do this. We're going to use a formula. Click on the equal sign or press the equal sign. And now what I need to do is take my regular hourly rate, which was $10, and I'll click on that cell, and I'm going to multiply it by time and a half from right here. Time and a half is 1.5. So I'll type in a 1.5. I'll hit enter. So let's be clear on this. My regular rate, I get $10 per hour for any hours worked up to 40 hours. Now when I work over 40 hours, I get paid $15 an hour, and that is my overtime rate. And then we can quickly fill in the rest of the cells by dragging and dropping. So I'll go to the bottom right hand corner. I'll wait for that to turn into a black cross, And then I'll click on my mouse and I'll drag down to this cell. And now we have the overtime rates for employee 2 and employee 3. So employee 2, his overtime rate is $14.25. And you can check it. If you take $9.50 times 1.5 from time and a half, you will get this. So you can check these on your calculator. We're getting close here. Let's do the overtime pay. So I'm going to click on my equal sign. To find the overtime pay, I take the overtime hours times the overtime rate. So I click on the equal sign. I'll click on the overtime hours cell right here, times the overtime rate right here, and I'll hit enter. And then I'll go ahead and drag down like so. Hopefully you'll get better at this. And now, how do you think I figure out the total gross pay? Well, I would simply take the regular gross pay from here plus the overtime pay from here. So let's use a formula. I'll click on my equals. I'll click on the regular gross pay cell right here where the $400 is. Click on that, plus the overtime pay right here. Click on that, and then hit enter. And then you'll go ahead and drag and drop here, right here. I'll drag down. And there you go. We have calculated the total gross pay, and it's in this column. So that's really a cool way to do it. This is a much more powerful way to do it than using a calculator. So I hope this really helped you understand overtime pay a little better and what time and a half means, and that when you work over 40 hours during a week's period, you should get paid overtime. So check that on your paycheck. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.